Hey, today we're going to talk about 5.12, Introduction to Sustainability. Take a moment, check out the Enduring Understanding, look at the learning objective, pause the video, review the essential knowledge, and set up your Cornell notes. So this video is very much aligned with the video from 5.11. So 5.11 introduced the concept of an ecological footprint, and this is basically how we can try to minimize our ecological footprint and be more sustainable. So what does sustainability mean? It just means that we're using resources in a way that doesn't deplete them so future generations have access to them. If it were a renewable, it's using them at a rate that allows them to replenish themselves. So in other words, if we were using lumber, timber, wood, any tree product, not cutting down an entire forest, but using them in a way that the forest could replenish itself, so we are not contributing to deforestation. And if we're using non-renewables like coal, oil, natural gas, uranium, limiting their use or using them completely not at all. Non-renewables will not replenish themselves in our lifetime, so it really is in our best interest to not use them at all, to try to find alternatives. Now, it's not going to be possible every single time, so limiting the use is especially important. So we can promote sustainability by environmental factors. We can, basically put the word out there and promote the ecosystem services that are provided. If we are not living sustainably, what's going to happen to the nutrient cycling? What's going to happen to habitats? What's going to happen to carbon sequestration? Things like that. We can also promote air quality. So if we live and have sustainable lives, we will have better air quality, better water quality, etc. Socially, we could promote environmental justice. So everybody has access to living in pristine quality environments where nobody is exposed to pollution. We can also educate people so they understand what goes into a sustainable practice. We can also secure our resources so people have access to them, but they also are secured for future generations. And finally, we can provide jobs that are sustainable jobs. We can provide incentives so people will not be overutilizing some of these resources. We can also monitor the costs and adjust the costs to prevent overuse of certain resources. So there's some indicators that can indicate how sustainable an environment is. So biodiversity is one indicator, and biodiversity after a disturbance, more ecosystems are going to be able to recover. So in the last 500 years, this is the amount of organisms, the percentage of organisms that have been or gone extinct. And the background extinction rate, what that means is, barring any human influence, about, what is this, like 0.1% of organisms would naturally go extinct over 500 years. But in the last 500 years, since, before even the Industrial Revolution, we have lost over 2%, nearly 2.5% of amphibian populations. We've impacted all of these vertebrates, and these are only vertebrates that we're talking about, animals with backbones. We're not talking about the amount of insects that have gone extinct. We're not talking about anything else. We're just talking about what humans have done to these vertebrates. Food production is also another indicator of how sustainable an environment is. So since food production is impacted by climate change, soil degradation, and water use, we can determine how healthy an environment is or how sustainable an environment is by the amount of foods that they are producing. And also, any sort of production of meat is going to stress the soil and the water of a particular area. Now this image right here shows the changes in agricultural productivity. So some areas will become more productive as a result of climate change, and some areas will become less productive. What do we notice? Well, we do notice that the ones that are becoming less productive are typically the ones that are tropical in nature. The temperate regions are going to become more productive because through climate change, those those temperatures and precipitation patterns will become more suitable for growing crops. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Okay? It might seem like a good thing because maybe we have more land area available, but we are changing the ecology of these areas far faster than they should be changed, than they would change naturally. Checking the surface temperature and the CO2 concentration is another indicator. So the more carbon dioxide that we have, the more solar radiation is going to be absorbed by that carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, remember, is a greenhouse gas. So the carbon dioxide concentrations historically, and we weren't really monitoring them until right before the 1900s and the late 1800s. But global temperatures have kind of increased along with these carbon dioxide levels. And this is something that we can prove because we have this data. And again, carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. It absorbs the solar energy from the sun, and it releases it as infrared radiation or heat. The human population is another indicator. The human population has grown exponentially over the last 200 years, and a higher human population means that we're going to be consuming more resources, which eventually will lead to biodiversity loss. And finally, our resource depletion. So as we increase our development, we're going to consume more resources. And what this graph is showing is that our human population since 1800 has increased. This is the global population. The amount of deforestation has also increased as well. The human population has gone up exponentially, and the amount of deforestation has kind of risen arithmetically. Now, this is a global deforestation. One good thing in the United States, we've actually reforested. We have more forests in the United States than we did during colonial times. So that is one good thing regarding this. Okay, to practice for our FRQ, what I would like you to do is look at these headings, look at this table, and I want you to explain which student most likely resides in a highly developed country. So use what you have learned through this video, through the other videos, and I want you to formulate your response. I look forward to seeing what you have written. Thank you for your attention. I will see you soon.